Welcome to Stories of Hope Zoom Live. We actually are talking to military personnel and family because it's not just one, it's all when you're in the military. And I don't know if anyone knows it, but May is Military Appreciation Month. So I'm going to say thank you to those who shared with me that it is. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that. I only know the two holidays. I'm Christine Hotchkiss, and I believe everyone has a story that is unique, just like their fingerprints that put them on the paths and the journeys of their lives. Some find purpose, as you will find out in our interview this evening. So let me get started right away because there's so much to pack in such a short amount of time. My first guest, and I'm going to cheat here because I couldn't memorize all three of everyone's credentials and their experiences. So my first guest is Rick Kreiberg. He served honorably for 35 years in the U.S. military, retiring as a command sergeant major. During his career, he served with distinction in numerous leadership positions throughout the world, both in combat and in peace times. I like that. Upon his retirement in 2018, Rick founded Veterans Affinity, a nonprofit who ensure elderly veterans receive the care they need and the VA benefits they have earned. Oh, we do know this one quite well. My next guest is Kathy Gallowitz. She also is a third-generation veteran who served nearly 30 years in the Air Force as a nurse or public affairs officer. In response to 9/11, she designed and executed a never-been-done-before statewide outreach office for the Ohio National Guard to educate and engage civilians in support of troops and their families. Through her business, Vanguard Veteran, she equips civilians to become veteran champions. And Dawn Christon is the very proud mother of an American soldier who fought in the war in Iraq. She is the founder of Sycamore Sunrise Ranch. This also is a nonprofit organization that will offer hiking, fishing, boating, recreational sports, or just some quiet time or meditation for veterans with PTSD and their families. Please help me welcome my guests this evening. Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Hello,
Christine.
Hello.
That was a lot to read.
You did well. You did well.
Yes. Thank you guys for coming here and doing this. It is a month that is very important, and we'll get into some other holidays that we kind of mix up as civilians, as the word has been used many times in your introductions. So without further ado, Rick, I'm going to go ahead and start with you, and I'm going to have you give about 5 minutes or so about telling us about who you are and what you do.
Okay. Thanks, Christine, and thank Kelly and Dawn. It's great for all of us to get together and share our stories and see how we can collaborate to make a difference. So what I do is, as Christine put out so eloquently, I retired from the Army. I got out here in the real world, lost in the sauce, as they say, very confused, and I struggled for a bit. So what helped me was I need to find a way to continue serving. So I got involved in various veteran communities and realized that some of our elderly veterans were struggling with resources. A lot of them, for some of them their own choice, and some of them because they gave up on the bureaucracy that sometimes the VA operates in. They operate in a really bad bureaucracy system. So in any case, what I do is I help our veterans do one of three things, which I believe, in my opinion, my experience, there's three challenges that our veterans face: housing, care, and benefits. So I have veterans that on opposite ends of the scale. I have veterans that are either homeless and need transitional housing and start working their way up into their own apartments, find a home, and so forth. Or on the opposite end, where I might have an 85-year-old who can no longer take care of him or herself, and I need to find an assisted living or a group home or something like that for them. The second piece that I do is the care. So a lot of our veterans, unfortunately, haven't taken care of themselves over the years. So they need resources, they need help. So I collaborate with the VA, and I also collaborate with a healthcare company that uses the VA and Medicare benefits to ensure that these guys and gals, they get the care that they need in their homes. Once they're in suitable housing and they're safe and they're getting the care that they need, then I help them with their VA benefits. And so a lot of folks, especially wartime era veterans, are entitled to numerous benefits that will help them with additional care that the VA or Medicare may not provide. So once I've done all that, Then it comes down to restoring their honor. A lot of our, especially our Vietnam veterans, they've missed out on a lot of the parades. They've missed out on the recognition. They've missed out on so much. So now it's about, let me restore some of that honor. Let me get the community involved. Let's get you that Vietnam veteran hat. Let's get you down to the VA. Give us another shot, another chance to make it right with the veterans. So you know what, we screwed up as a society, but now this is the time to make it right. So in a nutshell, that's my mission. That's what I do day in and day out, is to help our veterans, but primarily our 65 and older veterans.
Wow, that's quite a bit. Thank you.
That's amazing.
Oh, Kathy, you please tell me what you're doing.
Wow. Sergeant Major, you're still working really hard, buddy. Thank you for what you're doing. I married
much.
a 25-year active Army combat veteran. He was with the 101st most of his career. So he likes to kid me and saying, one day you'll get to be Army strong too, right? Yeah. And it's, I think it's probably true. So thanks for having me, Christine. It's awesome to be here. Vanguard Veteran equips civilians to become veteran champions. And I define that as a civilian, someone who's never served, who creates mutually beneficial activities and services that promote quality of life, workforce, and community. And if you're not sure what all that means, please go to Amazon and buy my book called Beyond Thank You for Your Service, the Veteran Champion Handbook for Civilians. It was my honor to showcase nearly 20 veteran champions from all segments of society: employers, lawyers, healthcare providers, community leaders, educators, and neighbors, because everybody can do something. And so we talk about real practical ways that from where you're at, you can do more to support military connected people. Because you know what? It's not rocket science. It's people science. Because I don't know if our listeners know, but 55% of our veterans feel disconnected from mainstream America. And about 74 to 81% of those same veterans feel like America does not understand the challenges they faced. In my life experience, having grown up as a Navy brat, I moved 20 times before the age of 35. And I think I was 40 years old before I even went to a funeral, right? So I experienced that feeling of disconnection myself firsthand. And so this work really is my life's calling. Another key statistic I want to share is that 70% of human resource professionals do not understand how to hire and retain veteran talent. There's really a gap there. Although employers are hiring veterans in record numbers and veteran unemployment is consistently lower than civilian unemployment, even with COVID, even as a result of the pandemic, HR professionals still have a lot to learn. And oh, by the way, we have a lot better job to do to help our job seeker veterans get ready for that job search so that they're not lost in the sauce, like Rick said. And then the other thing that's really important is about 40% of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans have a difficult time regaining a sense of purpose and meaning in their life, and or lose touch with their spirituality. My combat veteran's raising his eyebrows. Rick, you get it, right? And so I'm very passionate, along with helping employers develop a veteran-ready strategy. I work with faith communities to help them develop a volunteer-led military ministry inside their congregation. It's about building friendships. It's about support. It's about being knowledgeable, how to refer people to resources when needed. It's all about creating that sense of belonging close to home so that they don't feel, I'm going to use it again, lost in the sauce socially and spiritually, so that yucky stuff, and I think it can help curb suicide. So those are just some of the things I'm really passionate about. And I really do consider it a privilege to serve our society in this way, and hope that anybody who's listening who wants to really go beyond thank you for your service will join the Veteran Champion movement and be a part of the win.
2 for 2. Nice. Dawn, now you actually did not serve, but your son.
I did not.
But your son
I
has.
feel
you're on
so
the-
inadequate.
No. Okay. So I actually was born at Camp Pendleton. So a Marine. So here's a little camaraderie here, but I feel a little inadequate because I don't know my biological father. He passed away several years ago. So I don't know a whole lot saying that, oh yeah, I was born on a Marine base. So
Well, Christine and Dawn, you both are veteran champions, and that's critical. We need you guys
Okay.
doing what you're doing. Thank you very
Well,
much.
thank you.
It's important.
okay, thank you. That makes me feel
you,
much better,
Kathy.
Kathy. All right, Dawn, tell us what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Okay, so I have a nonprofit foundation helping veterans and their families bond while battling post-traumatic stress for whatever reason. Nobody seems to be really working with the whole family unit. And I think it's imperative that the veteran who comes home from war and won't even admit that they have post-traumatic stress because they survived the war. They're fine. But then they come home different than when they left, and the spouse and the children are confused by it. I mean, it's a whole different personality in some of the veterans. And I just believe, after working with veterans for the past 18 years, that something has got to be done. These families deserve to have peace and to be reconnected. And I am so proud of you other two people. I'm anxious to know more about what you're doing, because I think from the time somebody enters the service, they need to be cared for. We need to make sure that these people realize how much they really are revered. I think that the public really doesn't realize how many problems there are, and we need to change that. And so I think by bringing veterans and their families onto the ranch, we just bought a 90+ acre ranch in West Virginia. We sold our house and our business, and you can see we're old. We're just, was like, somebody's got to do something. It just has to be done. So almost heaven, West Virginia, here we are. But we will bring these families on at no charge to them and help them just realize that nature in itself is healing. If you can get out and just look around and see what God has to offer, it will be beneficial. But taking them fishing and kayaking. I mean, the town that we're in is Marlinton, West Virginia. There are 6 rivers that start right here in this town. It is amazing area, the mountains and the trees, and the nature is just fabulous. And I think if we can get family activities together so they can learn how to just bond and know that things will be better. You just have to work at it a little bit. So I think we're all pretty much doing the same thing. I'm so happy to hear about them.
And there's so many other organizations that are out there too. I just was able to put you guys together today, and you have a little bit, but you have the same mission. You're all wanting to help the veterans, and you're also helping the families, because I had mentioned in the beginning, and Rick and I actually just met for the first time last week, so he can meet one of my friends who was a Vietnam veteran. And I get concerned when I hear certain things because I don't understand, because I can't relate. So Rick was really kind enough to be able to come and meet with us. Crazy enough, I sat there just like this in a tennis match, watching them compare stories and all the things that they knew. And it made me happy inside, because I understand that this person had to have a Me Too factor. And Rick, that was the Me Too factor you were giving my friend Louie. And
it's definitely a blessing.
Yeah, for
definitely.
me, because I can only relate to him on a level that I know him. I don't know that part of him. So I wanted to tell you again, Rick, thank you for meeting with us.
Honor.
And as you all have mentioned, there's PTSD, there's the workforce. What would you say is the biggest challenge that we as civilians need to acknowledge, so that we don't look at someone that we think is not able to perform a job? Like we've seen people on, and I saw this yesterday, actually, I thought of you guys all. this gentleman had a sign that said he was a veteran, but he was homeless. And I really don't know how much of that is truth when I hear you each talk about different organizations and parts of communities that can help these individuals. Can someone help me with that one?
I don't necessarily have homeless statistics memorized. However, I am very encouraged by what the VA and other organizations are doing to help veteran homelessness. I am a master's prepared nurse. And so, I appreciate and I'm sensitive to the fact that homelessness sometimes is a choice.
Yes.
And oftentimes there's, mental health, substance abuse that complicates everything. But, veteran unemployment, veteran homelessness is still a concern, but I am proud to see what is happening to address that. The way I'd like to answer your question, though, is I fundamentally believe that the two gaps that I addressed in my introduction are still really big ones that really make a huge impact on the quality of life. For instance, if a veteran gets a job where they feel like their skills are appreciated, valued, they're challenged, they are in a good work culture, they are more productive, they are more loyal, they are less absent than their civilian counterparts. And so if you get a good job and you can pay your bills, your family, you're happy, your family's happy, and the employer is happy. Okay. And then I think the spiritual disconnect of, how our faith community can support that post-military transition, whether or not you're a combat veteran. Okay. I think those are two fundamental holes that still really need to be addressed by our society.
With that, then, Rick, I know that you said you want to help the veterans that you said in the beginning missed the parades or the acknowledgement. Do you go out and find these individuals on the street like I just mentioned? Or, how do you find these veterans to give them that honor and get them those benefits that you had talked about?
So if I could just, on Kathy's point about homeless veterans, she's spot on. I would say more so than not, this is where they want to be.
Wow.
There are so many resources out there for housing, for job opportunities, resume writing. My goodness, suits. There's organizations that will provide a suit. This is where they want to be. And being a retired command sergeant major, I put my leadership hat on and I go down there and say, hey, what are we doing here? Because I expect these folks to be responsible for their outcome. They put themselves, or I should say they got themselves in this position. They can sure help themselves get out of it. If they're willing to take that first step, I will take them to the finish line. But I have found this is where they want to be. My goodness, there are some homeless vets that have apartments already. Now, why aren't they in their apartments? Is because they're isolated. They would rather be on the street and be able to mingle around others. So go figure. That's, So it's almost like trying to fit that square peg in the round hole. It just sometimes it's not meant to be, and that's where they're happy.
Wow.
But sometimes I do find, especially the Vietnam era vets or the Vietnam veterans that might be homeless, it's about restoring that honor, if you will, building that trust that, hey, this is no longer 1968, brother. The VA has changed, society has changed. Follow me, I'll take you to the promised land. We're going to get you the help that you need. And I'll tell you just a true story. My father was a Vietnam era veteran and he was homeless, had a pretty rough life. We finally reunited in 2000. And I told him, I said, Dad, I got to get you in the VA. The VA is going to take care of you. They're going to help you with an apartment. They're going to get you squared away. And they did. So he was the first veteran that I ever helped. And now he's doing fine.
Wow.
He's living in Reno, Nevada. And so he was my first, this can happen,
This
so.
is amazing. This is highly personal for you, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and the conversation I had with my dad, it wasn't like my poor dad, I gotta help him out. Shucks. No, my dad and I had a very, very tough love. It was a very stern conversation. Like, hey, Dad, enough of this nonsense. You got to pull your head out of your what, get it together. Let's go down there and get you squared away. And I had all the paperwork. I knew what to do. So I got him enrolled and off he went. And my goodness, 18 years later, then it was my turn. I got myself in. So I reflected back on that, 2000, I think it was 2000. I said, okay, if I can take care of my dad, I can pretty much take care of anybody. So there you go.
Very nice.
Good for you. Good job.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, you've talked about homelessness. We've talked about PTSD, and you say it's a choice. Is there something that's happened that they get to that point? I guess would be my question when I see them with signs. And I always thought that there's always, like you said, there are resources for everything. There truly is. And everything is a choice. But to panhandle and know that someone served our country, you can't help but hear people say, oh, well, look at our government doesn't even take care of our veterans. Can you help maybe enlighten those of us who think differently or do think that way? I'm not sure which way to go.
You talking about me, Christine?
Either, any of you, however you have input on, because I don't know.
So that when I hear that, the country is failing our veterans, I don't believe that. I absolutely do not believe that. Anybody in this country, if you apply yourself, the resources are unlimited. If you apply yourself, some of these veterans, what I've noticed, they got out of the military. They were probably what we used to call problem childs, if you will. Some of them were knuckleheads. They get out of the military and they continue to be knuckleheads. Or you have some of these guys that were led 24/7. They had a sergeant or a petty officer or a master chief that was on their behind, telling them where they needed to be, when they needed to be there, move. Well, then you get out of the military, you no longer have that leadership. And so these guys and gals are kind of confused, they're kind of lost. And so I have been asking some of my brethren, those that retired as senior NCOs, who say, hey, you need to come out with me, come out on the street, adopt a veteran, similar to a Big Brother program. Get out there because these vets need leadership. They don't need the freebies, they need leadership. They need somebody who's going to provide that tough love and say, knock it off, get it together, let's go, follow me, and away we go. So when I hear that society is failing, no, I don't buy into that. I just don't. And most of the veterans, in my opinion, that you see on the corner with the sign, they're not veterans, but they're using the veteran angle to get benefits. I've caught, I'm going to say probably one person I have found that was in that situation, and they had a bad, what we call a bad, what they call bad chicken dinner, a bad conduct discharge, which pretty much you're not going to be able to get much when you have a bad conduct discharge. But most of those guys and gals that are on the corners, they're not veterans.
Good to know.
That's my experience.
That's good to know.
I love your, go ahead, Dawn.
I just find that post-traumatic stress causes almost a brain block that makes it very difficult for the veterans to be able to fill out the forms and just find the resources that they need. And so, Rick, I'm so happy that you're doing that. We actually have a resource coordinator to help our veterans find service in their area with phone numbers and addresses, things where they can just look at their paper and say, okay, this is where I need to go to get my medication. This is where I need to go to talk to somebody. This is where I need to go to get whatever services I happen to need. And I think some of the government paperwork is just a little too confusing when you're already suffering with post-traumatic stress. I mean, some of that's confusing for you if you don't have post-traumatic stress,
Yes.
but right.
Yes.
But so we're all doing a service that is just so necessary. And I think the more people realize that invisible injuries are just as debilitating as physical injuries, I think that people will be more understanding and our veterans will be able to feel a little bit proud of what they do. I think sometimes if you don't have a physical injury, they're ashamed that they can't pull it together. Anyway, that's what I have found.
Dawn, I want to applaud the work you're doing for the whole family unit, because post-traumatic stress or post-traumatic stress disorder certainly affects families and can do so for generations.
Absolutely.
Unless, treatment is gotten and the family understands, maybe what they can do or shouldn't do to support. And I just want to make a couple comments in regards to PTSD. And first of all, the VA says that about 20% is the statistic I keep saying of Iraq and
It's
Afghanistan.
way higher than that.
Is it?
I think it is.
I've heard
I
maybe
think for this
30%
I
for
think for
Vietnam
this
veterans.
generation it is.
Pardon?
I said, I think for this generation, it's higher.
Okay, well, when I look at the VA, that's what they report. They report it for they report about 30% for Vietnam veterans at some time in their lifetime. You know how what these definitions are and such. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Dawn, but anyway, I do want to say that you know, PTSD is something that people can live with.
Absolutely.
And manage their triggers well, and, you know, be good employees, good community members. And so it's all not doom and gloom, but boy, it's a challenge for people to, you know, A, admit that they have it, and B,
Absolutely.
be willing to do something about it. And the last comment I want to make about PTSD is that post-traumatic growth is also an exciting emerging body of knowledge about, you know, how difficult experiences are internalized, and how people can also experience a positive outcome from that. What do you think, Rick?
So no, I agree with you, but I want you to think about this. So Vietnam, and so you have the Vietnam vets who went to Vietnam, came back. Now they're civilians. They're a mess. They can't manage their PTSD, substance abuse, homelessness. I mean, they're a mess. The Vietnam vets that stayed in the Army and actually did they got a pension out of it. They were far off better than those guys that got out. So I honestly believe that the camaraderie and being around like-minded people going through the same thing, we have the ability to, again, forgive me for all these military terms, we have the ability to police each other up, kind of bring each other up, and we hold each other accountable. Yeah. It's when they get out, like these Iraq and Afghanistan vets, they get out, they do 4 years, and they probably did 2 deployments. They get out, they no longer have that leadership. They have nobody there to give them that tough love. These guys and gals, a lot of them need tough love. And just something to think about too, the Iraq and Afghanistan vets, when they leave the military, they have a physical like you can't possibly imagine. The doctors go head to toe all the way through, and they help them with their VA claim. So it's not just like they leave the military and they're like, I don't know what to do. No, they have to go through a transitional program, especially they call it Soldier for Life in the Army. It's a transitional assistance program that sits down with these guys and helps them gather all their military documents while they're in, and helps them file a claim with the VA. I mean, that's exactly what happened to all of us. I mean, shoot, it was done for us. But I believe that most of the folks out there in the community, they need fellow vets that are survivors, if you will. Yes. Similar like Alcohol Anonymous. You know, I was an alcoholic, I made it, now I'm going to mentor you. We need the same thing in our veteran community. It's like, hey, brother, hey, I got PTSD too. I'm going to see my doctor. When was the last time you went? Oh, you no-showed your appointment. Way to go, champ. So let's call the doctor and make that appointment. So it's just, in my experience, and again, it's just my experience, a lot of these folks need leadership, and they need leadership from those, forgive me for sounding cocky in any way, but they need leadership from guys that have been there like myself. They need senior leaders that are going to get out there and say, hey man, I know how you feel. I felt the same way, but this is what I found out. So I call it feel, felt, found. You know how you feel?
Especially from combat veterans, right? I mean, Christine, you connected your Vietnam veteran to Rick, because veterans will talk openly to veterans, but combat veterans will typically only talk openly to other combat veterans. And I love the way Rick suggested everybody has a battle buddy, and ideally a military battle buddy to help you through transition or PTSD is absolutely a miracle worker. But I also believe that a civilian can be a supporter by listening, active listening, by opening up their network to provide resources and encouraging them to seek help if and when it's needed, and maybe even walking with them to the VA to explore what benefits they may be eligible for. Our society has an important opportunity to really support those who have done so much for us in very simple ways.
So it sounds like I'm actually a civilian champion and didn't even know it.
You are. You're
Yay.
a veteran champion. Absolutely. You're getting the word out, educating people.
Yeah.
And, Dawn, thank you for you being a veteran champion too.
Thank you.
Yeah, on behalf of the families where you're the civilian champion. So I agree with you. Go ahead.
Can I offer one more observation? I think that another big gap, as you know, less than 1% of our society serves. And many of our CEOs, many of our legislators, very few of them have military service background. And so by and large, there is a military culture gap. And there's also myths and misconceptions that accompany people who have served. And so educating our citizenry about, the value of military leadership, educating our citizens about the values of perseverance, critical thinking, problem solving, helping our citizenry understanding that they have a key role in facilitating and supporting the needs of our veterans. The military culture gap and the misconceptions and stigmas that are perpetuated by the media do us a disservice,
Yes.
So there's an opportunity for citizens to do a lot more and get involved.
Do you have any specifics you want to actually share, since you did mention that we as civilians can do that? Could you give some more specifics to people who say, I don't really know where to go?
Okay. I really think one of the most important things a citizen can do is pay attention to who's military in your neighborhood, right?
Yes.
Pay attention to the uniforms. Get involved. Find out, is somebody deploying? Are they in the Guard and Reserve and they're going to be gone for a short period of time? Or is there a mother or a sister or someone who has a brother or son who's active duty and far away from home? Remember them on these special days: Military Appreciation Day, Armed Forces Day. Ask how their loved one is doing. Offer a listening ear. Don't pry, but show your concern and interest. Actively listen and let the person take the story where they want it to go. As Rick knows, storytelling is absolutely healing and important, right? Dawn,
Yes.
don't you bring?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Tell me about the storytelling that you all do.
Well, I guess I need to say that when my son went to Iraq, I wasn't happy about it. I was not happy when he joined the Army. And he said, Mother, you raised us to be patriotic. And I was like, oh, really? Okay, but I was not happy about it. And he was there at the very beginning of the war. He actually shipped out 2 weeks after that conflict started. So there was no communication. They didn't have the proper supplies. I mean, it really was a wild ride. We started by sending the supplies that they needed. I mean, they didn't even have flavoring for their water, so that it was so that they were able to keep the water down. The water tasted so bad that they would puke it up, but they knew they had to drink it because it was so hot. I mean, 140 degrees sometimes there. Anyway, so we started out with packages, and not knowing anything about any of this. My dad was a World War II vet. And he was very closed off. And we, of course, we didn't know why. We didn't know anything about it. Anyway, so the more we started helping the troops, then people started paying attention, saying, oh yeah, these guys need food, they need underwear, they need socks and heaters and misters, and all that was being done. Then when there were enough groups, I felt taking care of that. Oh, I forgot. So I had to go to state legislature and complain about everybody not having what they needed.
How's that for a champion right there?
It was tough. I'm not good at speaking and I'm really shy. So it was hard for me. But anyway, after we got all that taken care of, I realized that our Vietnam vets were so poorly treated by other Americans. You know, it was crazy. So we did a lot of fundraisers and things for different veteran groups. And I feel like it's so beneficial just to say, thank you for your service. There have been so many that have said, nobody's ever said that to me before. I have a Vietnam vet friend who I actually met doing, I don't know what it was, some fundraiser. I don't remember what it was, but he said to me, he said, I came home on the 4th of July and I was spat on and no one ever said thank you to me. Well, we started doing a party every 4th of July, a welcome home party for him. And I think just saying thank you makes a huge difference. I mean, that is just such a big start to helping people heal. I started getting phone calls from all over the United States. I should say I had a sculpture made of a soldier with a guardian angel on his back, and the wings totally protect his back. And we were raffling those off and trying to help get supplies for veterans. And somehow those sculptures got around in the American Legions with my email and phone number. And I got some amazing phone calls just saying, thank you for paying attention because people need help. I got a call one night in the middle of the night from a Korean War vet. And he said, I still have night terrors and they are devastating. And okay, so he said, don't cry, but I do. I felt so sad for him. I thought, man, somebody has got to start taking care of this. It just has to stop. Anyway, so after 18 years on and off of working with veterans, my husband and I just said, we can do something about this. These families have got to have some help. So here we are. So Sycamore Sunrise Ranch is what we're doing. We're sycamoresunriseranch.org. If you'd like to find out more about us, you can find out a lot of fun
things that are going to be coming up. Okay.
A lot of fun places to go in this area.
With
So go ahead.
With a few minutes remaining, there's a couple of things I wanted to ask real quick, and then I'll have a final question for each of you. And so we learned, me as a civilian, not being a part of the military, except being born on a base, and that was it. I didn't know anything about the life. Military Appreciation Month has been expressed, but then there's two other holidays. I'm gonna let Rick actually answer this one and let the civilians know what is the difference between the other two holidays that we hear about, Veterans and Memorial Day, because we are coming upon them.
So thanks, Christine. I appreciate you bringing it up. So I call it the public service announcement. The public, as Dawn is wanting to find ways to thank veterans and to thank those that have served, which is phenomenal. Love it when society, puts forth the effort. But there's three events. One of them is Armed Forces Day, which just passed, which is last Saturday. That's the day that we thank those that are currently serving in uniform. We appreciate their service, and a lot of restaurants will give them discounts if they're serving locally. Then, of course, you have Memorial Day, which is coming up the last Monday of the month, which is a time to reflect. It's a time to remember. It's a time to honor those that have passed, those that have died while serving. And I always say, especially my senior living facilities, it's a time that you can remember your former residents, maybe who have passed in the past year. But it's definitely not the time to celebrate veterans or honor veterans, or we should be doing pinning ceremonies. We shouldn't be doing, it's not about that. It's a time where the chaplains, in my opinion, are the busiest. That's the one day or the one weekend where my chaplains are probably the most busy, as they should be. They don't want to hear me talk because I'm a veteran. I don't want to have a military guy come in and say, hey, here I am, thank you for my service. But it's a chaplain that has a message to remember those that have died. And I found that a lot of groups, they're trying to do good things and they want to do these events. They want to have these pinning ceremonies. And so I got to tell them, I said, no, wait, let's wait till November. Let's wait until then so we can honor our veterans, those that have served. So it's just a common message. It's a common, misconception on who's, it's because people are trying to do what Dawn's doing, is trying to thank everybody and try to do the right thing. But sometimes we just got to make sure that we align them on the right days. That's all.
Makes sense. So the key word for Memorial Day is memorial, remembering those who have
That's
already
correct.
passed on.
And remind people, don't say Happy Memorial Day.
Yes. Great point.
Usually post something saying Memorial Day is not a 3-day picnic. There's a reason for Memorial Day. And anyway, that's exactly.
Spot on.
Don't say Happy Memorial Day.
Spot on, Dawn. Yeah, that's good.
So I will be watching and seeing anyone that writes it out there. I'm going to have to.
Maybe you
correct
can help them.
I will
Maybe
help
you can
them.
help them.
I was a civilian champion. I will help them because we want to do it the right way, as you've already
Yeah,
mentioned. Rick.
absolutely.
I do have one final question that I always ask my guests, and that is one that changes me as a person, and anybody that would hear the response, hopefully it changes them, inspires them, or gives them hope, like what I do for my show. And we'll start with Dawn. And that question is, wait, you know what? I'm going to actually go around one last time and allow you guys to give your information for your organizations, should someone want to reach out to you. And then we'll answer the final question.
Okay.
So go ahead, Dawn. We'll go with you.
So I'm Dawn at Sycamore Sunrise Ranch.org. I will say sycamore for the big, strong tree that gives so much harborage to people. And sunrise, we all have a new beginning every day. So strong new beginnings, I think, is what our families need. And that's what we're trying to provide. So sycamoresunriseranch.org.
I like that. Rick, go ahead and give us your info.
Veterans with an S, affinity with an A, veteransaffinity.org. That's my webpage. Or you can email me, rick@veteransaffinity.org. Our mission is to ensure our veterans get the care they need and the benefits they've earned.
Perfect. Kathy.
Vanguard Veteran can be found at vanguardveteran.com, and there you will find resources for employers, faith community leaders, and you can learn more about how to connect with the military veteran, what to say to a veteran who might be struggling, and also what initial questions might you ask your faith community to start a military ministry. Please join the Veteran Champion movement.
And your book also?
The book, Beyond Thank You for Your Service, the Veteran Champion Handbook for Civilians, can only be found on Amazon. Please read it. Let me know what you think. I'm at Kathy with the K.
I need that book. I will be ordering it.
Thank you. I'm at Kathy with the K at vanguardveteransingular.com. Thank you so much, Christine.
Absolutely. Dawn, did you have something you wanted to add real quick?
No, I was just saying I need that book, and I think that I need to spread the word on that too. And both of these organizations, because we can't help what we don't know.
Absolutely.
And like I said before, I did not have a clue of the problems until my son went to war, and I truly did what I needed to do to stay busy during that time. And after he got home from the war, people would say, why are you still doing this? Your son's been home for a long time. And that kind of freaks me out. Anyway, I think we all need to do what we can do to help.
You might have actually answered my final question now with that. No, that's okay. My final question, and we'll go back to you, Dawn, is what message do you want to leave with everyone? Whether it's based on your son's life or the journey you've been on, you decide.
I would really like for people to know that our veterans deserve honor, and we need to be aware of acting silly in front of people that have invisible injuries, keeping loud noises away from them, and directing them to wherever they need to go for help. I think any civilian can walk a veteran to the VA hospital and say, what can we do here? Anyway.
Okay. Kathy.
God bless America and all who protect her, right?
You bet.
Oh,
Kathy.
God bless both of you for what you do. Being a veteran champion isn't rocket science. Kindness, consideration, being on the lookout, being aware, getting involved. And if you don't remember anything else, how about this? Allow a transitioning veteran to access your personal network of influencers. Refer them to employers who are hiring. Invite them to your civic group. Invite them to your book group. Invite them to your faith community. Help them feel included and appreciated and valued. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. And
Very good.
I agree with you. That's why I brought my friend Louie to Rick, because I didn't know anybody else. So it was perfect. Rick, what is your answer to my final question?
Well, my goodness. So Kathy and Dawn pretty much summed it up, but anybody at any time can make a difference. It doesn't take much. We call it paying it forward. It doesn't matter if it's a veteran or a civilian or an elderly person that's, we see in the videos where they're crossing their crosswalk. Anybody can make a difference. And when it comes to our veteran community, if we recognize our veteran, if they have a cap on, hey, go up and say, hey, brother, or as I would say, brother, but all of you say, hey, man, welcome home. Welcome home. Thank you for your service. How are you doing? Can I get you breakfast? Can I get you lunch? Tell me a little bit about what's going on. Anybody can ask those questions. And now that we have the resources and we're collaborating as a community, we have those tentacles out there that we know who to call. You know what? I know somebody who's got a ranch. I know, I know somebody who knows a lot about this, who understands how to communicate with employers. So it's all about, it takes a village, right? It takes a village. So it starts here with the four of us, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, the four of us. It starts with us. That's the way I look at it.
Absolutely agree with you. And since you have also given us the distinguished meanings behind Veterans Day and all the other holidays you just mentioned, I say holidays, they are acknowledgement. Would you also like to share, Rick, what's coming up very soon if you're interested, you don't have to be a veteran to enjoy the traveling wall.
So I'm sure everybody's heard about the traveling Vietnam Wall. It's the miniature version that travels around the country. Well, it's finally coming to Arizona. It's not coming to Phoenix. It's actually going to be 2 hours away. It's like, come on, guys, bring it down to the Phoenix where the population is. But now it's going to be in the state of Arizona on June 4th. Kathy, I'm not sure are you in Arizona?
I am. Maricopa County. Where are you?
Oh, I'm in Mesa.
Oh, let's get together.
That's what I'm saying. So the wall's traveling June 4th, I think, through the 6th. June 4th through the 6th in Williams, Arizona. I don't know.
Outside of Flagstaff.
It'll be nice and cool there.
That's why they don't come to Phoenix, Rick, because they know better.
Wow.
They'll melt. I'm actually going to be taking my friend Louie up to the wall. When I met Rick and he had shared it with us, he didn't sound like he was like, oh, okay, I've seen it, I've heard it. But I was like, I think there's a difference. Now that I've heard all three of you speak, there's a difference when you actually share this experience and this moment of their life and let them do the storytelling. Let them go back and be a part of it, because it's always going to be a part of their lives, whether I'm in their life every single day or not. Just like we each have our own stories that are with us every single day until we talk about it. And then we are on our own life. So I'm going to actually be going up there where it's cooler and enjoy not just that moment I'm having with him being there because he is a Vietnam vet, but all the other individuals that are going to be there that are coming there for the reasons that they're choosing to come. And I won't get to ask them all, what's your story? I'll know when I get there what their story is.
Dawn?
Yes.
Dawn, Yellow Ribbon. Have you heard of Yellow Ribbon?
No.
Okay.
We have yellow ribbons.
I want you to look up Yellow Ribbon, because West Virginia has a lot of Army Reserve and National Guard units in the state of West Virginia.
I'm just finding that out.
And so Yellow Ribbon it's a program that they being the DOD, Department of Defense, where they'll partner with organizations like yourself, and they'll bring the Guard or the Reserve and their families to your ranch. So a resource. You can be a resource. So you're doing all these great things. You just got to let the military know that you're available. It's really that simple. So Yellow Ribbon.
I have lived in Arizona for over 60 years. And we just moved to West Virginia 6 weeks ago. just because we were able to buy this ranch and it has an amazing creek on it. It has an church, and I'm going to put on my website about the old log church. They are allowing us to use that church however we need with our veterans and their families. So it was built in 1835 and it's amazing. So anyway, yes, it'll be great to be in contact with these other people, because being here only 6 weeks, it's been interesting.
Look at
And
that.
it's cold here.
Our community just came together and you got to
Right.
take it there. So thank you for that information, Rick, to give to Dawn, as well as the connections that we can have here in Arizona. Is there anything I have forgotten to ask before we do a final close on our fun evening this evening?
Christine, I just want to give you a shout out. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Keep up the good work. Anything you can do to educate our citizenry about their opportunity to give back and pay it forward is really helpful.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm always wanting to find a way to make not just my life better, but other people's too, because I don't know everyone's story, but it's a Me Too factor that helps us all.
But what you do and bringing to light all of the things that people have to deal with, I think it somehow softens people to make them be a little kinder to others, because we don't know what people are going through at any given moment.
No.
And we all need to be kinder and more welcoming, I think.
Absolutely. Thank you
So
all
thank
for
you.
Thank you guys for all being my guests this evening. I wasn't sure how this was going to go, and it worked out great. I got to learn some more information, and now there's some connections here no matter where we are at. And that's the best part, the connections and the resources that are available that we didn't know were there. So thank you all for being my guests this evening.
Thank you so much.
Christine.
And thank you, Rick and Kathy. I appreciate knowing what you're doing also.
Thank you, Dawn, Rick.
I hope
Have
to
a
be
great
in
evening,
touch.
everybody.
And to my
You too.
Awesome.
Thank you.
To anyone who is seeing this, I thank you for taking the time to hear our discussions this evening and learn more about our military, not just the appreciation of what they've done, but what you can do also as being a champion civilian, as it's been noted several times, because everyone can be a civilian champion. If you have a story you want to share or have an organization in your community that's making a difference, please email me to the address of stories@christinehotchkiss.com. Until next time, everyone, I wish you well. And you take care.
Good night.
Right now,
Good
thank
night.
you.